Today we are going to learn chapter 12 from history, the modern age in Europe. First we completed with the Renaissance, now we move to the Reformation. First we start with the meaning and the definition of this Reformation. Reformation is the name given to the group of religious movements of the 16th century launched by the Christians against the various drawbacks of the church and the objectionable practices of the clergymen. This came to be known as the Reformation. So the main target of these movements was the Pope, the highest authority in the church hierarchy. These movements created a split in the Christian church between those who continued to remain loyal to the Pope at Rome, came to be known as Roman Catholics, and those who broke away from the church at Rome came to be known as Protestants. This Reformation movement broke out in a number of countries like England, France, Germany, Switzerland, Scotland, and other places. Let us find out what may be the causes of the Reformation. Okay, children? Let us find out the reasons, or you say the factors, or you say the causes of the Reformation. First thing is here the dissatisfaction with the practices of the Catholic Church. Dissatisfaction means, the meaning of the term, you know that people were not happy with the practices of the Catholic Church. So what was the reason for that? We are going to find out. First, let us know what was the condition of the Catholic during this medieval period. The Catholic Church during the early medieval period had become a vast hierarchical organization headed by the Pope in Rome. The Pope was the supreme authority over the entire hierarchy, and he exercised this authority directly. Systematic efforts were made to extend the authority of the Church over everyone, high or low. But during the 14th century, people became dissatisfied with some of the church practices, and this dissatisfaction paved way to the Reformation. So the first thing under the church practices means the dissatisfaction practices by the church. The first thing is here the economic factors. So what is it related to? In the Middle Ages, the church had vast properties which gave ample income to the church. So what are those type of income that they were getting? First thing is here, 1/10 of the income of a person was given to the church. This was known as tithe. Then the secondly year, the clergy collected another sum called the Peter pence from the people. And thirdly year, Pope Leo X, this is not Pope Leo X, it is Pope Leo X, wanted to build St. Peter Church. So he issued a type of certificates, pardon certificates, that came to be known as indulgences. So why was he doing so? Why did he issue these indulgence certificates? Indulgences were the letters which remitted punishment to the sinners who bought them both in the life and their even after their death. So usually, that means in the normal conditions, the priest imposed a penance or the punishment on a person who had sinned, and he was required to perform a special service or make a pilgrimage to a holy place. But now what had happened in the church? So these sinners could be freed from doing penance for their sins by buying the letters of indulgence. Finally, ultimately the church offices were given to the highest bidder. Means here, those who are bidding highest amount, so they were given the maintenance of the churches or administration of the churches. So this practice came to be known as simony. That means a clergy could maintain the two churches at a time. So all these practices annoyed the rulers as well as the common people. This was the first reason. That means here, in order to make money, they practiced various types of ways to collect the money. Now we move to the second factor, the corruption in the church. Under the practices of the church, the second one is here, corruption in the church. In the beginning, the clergy had an exemplary life and commanded great respect in the society. But as the time passed, moral decay crept into some areas in the functioning of the church. So what were those things? Some of the clergymen lacked proper education, and some lived in luxury and neglected their religious duties. That means here the persons who are working as a clergy, they did not have the proper knowledge. Then secondly, here the priests promised salvation in exchange for peace. For example, here the priest promised salvation in exchange for the fees. That means they used to collect the money to promise the salvation. And even they could pronounce a marriage lawful or unlawful by getting the money. In fact, there were the fees for even the transaction in life. Means here from birth to death, fees for the peace of the soul and peace for the souls of the people dead long ago. Means here this practice even today we have this. Means performing the rituals for the dead persons, but they used to collect the money for that. Then these practices were severely criticized and opposed by the people by that time. So in that one, the most famous one was the Dutch philosopher Desiderius Erasmus, and he was a humanist, exposed them in his book named The Price of Folly and prepared the ground for the Reformation. The next reason, or you say the cause, was the rulers' resentment. That means even the rulers opposed the practices of the church. So why so? Pope's interference in the political affairs was naturally opposed by the kings. They strongly supported the Reformation movement in order to weaken the church. As early as the 13th century, the rulers of Europe had quarreled with the Pope over the royal right to tax the church property. The rivalry ended in the defeat of the papacy. Means here the Pope's power declined as the rulers became strong. And here the most important thing that we have not learned in our Renaissance lesson also, one of the book written by a European author, it was the Prince Machiavelli. Machiavelli wrote that Prince. So that inspired these European rulers much, and they came to know the value of the kingship and their strength. So here the examples are given. The French king Philip IV had forced Pope Clement V to leave his headquarters at Rome and stay in Avignon in France when the latter interfered in the former's political affairs. Like that, the King of England, King Henry VIII of England, hardly cared for the Pope, and he got the church lands, and in 1536 he passed an act for the dissolution of monasteries, whereby small monasteries with the income of less than £200 a year were closed, and their buildings, land and money, all these were taken away by the crown. And another act in 1539, a larger monasteries were also closed. The monasteries were a reminder of the power of the Catholic Church. Besides, the monasteries were the wealthiest institutions in the country. So the King Henry lavish lifestyle along with his wars had led to a lack of money. So by destroying the monastic order, Henry could acquire all its wealth and property while at the same time removing the influence of the Pope. So like this, what had happened? The Pope's strength has declined. This is also known as decline of the Papacy. Now we move to the another causes, or you say the reason, movements against the church. Means here anti-church movements began in Europe in the Middle Ages. These movements directed their attack on the wrongdoings of the church. In that, the most important is here John Wycliffe. He was an English priest and Oxford professor. He criticized the worldliness of the church and some of its practices. He laid emphasis on the Bible as the sole guide for the salvation. The church ordered his expulsion from the Oxford University, where he was teaching. This created a dissatisfaction among the scholars. Means those days they did not leave the scholars or the philosophers to go against the church doctrines. Next is the immediate cause. What was the immediate cause? Long before the open breach with Rome, there had been some cases of protest against the power of the Pope. Means time and again there were the protest against the power of the Pope, and these minor revolts were crushed with a heavy hand. Means Pope was very strong, and all these revolts did not have the proper success. So the early reformers met with a failure. The challenge was accepted by a German priest later on. His name was Martin Luther. You could see his picture is also given in that page number 109. So he was working in the German university as a professor of theology. So we are not going to learn much about him. That's why I'm giving you 2 or 3 lines related to his introduction. So he was a German clergyman and a professor of theology at the University of Wittenberg. He openly criticized the papacy. He raised a strong voice and launched a movement against the abuses in the church and the authority of the Pope. So this proved to be the immediate cause of the Reformation. Got it, children? Next, we move to the another part of the lesson, the Counter-Reformation. So what is that Counter-Reformation? Only the meaning. So what is meant by the Counter-Reformation? The Reformation movement was against the Roman Catholic Church and brought about the birth of the Protestant Church. So here the Roman Catholic Church lost its glory and the importance. So in order to restore the credibility of the Roman Catholic Church, a number of dedicated Christians, including some popes, introduced certain reforms within the church. So this movement to get back the glory of Roman Catholic Church came to be known as Counter-Reformation. As a result of this Counter-Reformation, you see that Society of Jesus was also established. It was established by or founded by Ignatius Loyola, a Spanish noble, and he founded a religious order by the name of Society of Jesus with the permission of the Pope. It speedily gained recognition and was successful in winning back more adherents in Europe, China, India, Africa, America. So in our Goa church, you could see that Saint Francis Xavier, he was the follower of this Ignatius Loyola. He traveled to China and Japan for the propagation of Christianity. He came to India and worked till his death. His mortal remains are found in the church of Bom Jesus in Old Goa. So the selfless and dedicated service rendered by the Jesus helped in restoring the credibility of Roman Catholic Church. Though this Ignatius Loyola fact is not there, just I wanted to tell you the complete story of that Counter-Reformation. Okay children, you have to focus only on the meaning of the Counter-Reformation. So this is the explanation about the Reformation. Here only the meaning of the term Reformation and the causes, that means the evil practices that was prevailed in the church, and the meaning of Counter-Reformation. So the assignment, as usual, the assignment is also given, only the short question answers. It's that in the page number 110 as well as in 111. So the questions are also mentioned here. What is known as the Reformation? Then comes what are known as the letter of indulgences. Just now I told you they are nothing but the pardon certificates issued by the Roman Catholic Church. Then why did kings support the Reformation movement? That means the resentment of the rulers. Then who was that Erasmus? That is the complete name of Desiderius Erasmus, and the book written by him, and then the meaning of the Counter-Reformation. Okay, children, so this is about the Reformation lesson. Okay, thank you. Have a nice children. This is the last chapter in our history, chapter 13, the modern age in Europe, the third part, Industrial Revolution. So let us find out the meaning of the term Industrial Revolution, though it is not there in the syllabus. Industrial Revolution means the name given to a series of changes that brought about a transition from production by hand to production by machine. Means here from small scale production to the large scale production, from handmade goods to machine made goods. Nothing but the manpower was replaced by the machines. Got it, children? So this is the meaning of the term, the Industrial Revolution. So then here we are not going to learn about the causes, then the comparative studies and all. Just we are going to learn according to the present syllabus the meaning of the term capitalism and the socialism. First we start with the term capitalism. So what is this meaning of the capitalism? Capitalism means this is a system related to the economy. The economic system which generates and gives power to the capitalist came to be known as capitalism. So what exactly the meaning of the term capital? Capital came to be defined as the money which is invested for producing different articles in a factory, for buying machinery or raw material, and for selling finished goods in the market. So this is related to that capital. So in this capitalism, the means of production means here the labor, the raw material, the tools and the machines, all are owned or controlled by the private individuals, or you say the group of them. That means here the maintenance of the factory or the economic system was completely under the private. Got it, children? So the next reason is here. The next fact is here, the socialism. What is meant by the socialism? Socialism means it's also an economic system in which means of production are owned not by the private individuals but by the community, in order that all may share more fairly in the wealth produced. Means here all the production and distribution, everything will be owned by the government. The means of production, that means as in factories, and the distribution of goods. It believes that all individuals should have access to basic articles of consumption and public goods to allow for the self-actualization. So this socialism is based on the three principles. What are those? It is opposed to the private capitalism, and it is the voice of all workers and the working class. And thirdly, here it demands a just distribution of wealth. Privatization means, you know, that it was purely based on the profit, but socialism means it is for the fair means of distribution of the product as well as the wealth. So this much only we are going to learn in this Industrial Revolution according to the present syllabus. Then we move to the assignments as usual. Here only the three questions. The meaning of the term Industrial Revolution. What is meant by capitalism? What is meant by socialism? Sometimes they will ask you to differentiate capitalism and socialism. Okay, children? Okay, by this we have completed our portions. So the next I am going to give you the question bank, or you say that chapter wise the revision questions to practice. So you have to go through the notes as well as your textbook. The related questions you can learn. Okay, children?